Yo, your brain on God. Hey, listen, guys, it's episode 6 of your brain on God. We're doing it too much. It's your brain on God. Anyway, today's episode is incredible. We are talking about being, preceding, doing. Isn't that right, Darryl?
That's right, Aaron.
We're talking about how who you are comes from the inside, not just on the things that you do on the outside. So really understanding your values, understanding what you care about, and allowing God to shape the inside of you, which will change the external, which will change everything outside. Be an inside-out person. It's going to be amazing.
That's right, Aaron. And watch out for those double agents.
Those double agents. Oh, what are we talking about?
What's a
You're going to
double
find out in just a few seconds. Boom, biggie, bop, boom, boop. Boom, bicky, bop, boom, boop. Hey, boom, bicky, bop, boom, boop. Boom, bicky, bop, boom, boom. Welcome to bicky, bop, boom, boom, bop, bop, boom, bicky, bop, boom, boom. Brain on God, bicky, bop, boom, 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 digga, boo, bop, boom, boom. Welcome to Brain on God, yeah. Welcome to Brain on God, yep. Welcome to Brain on God, yep. Welcome to Brain on God, YBOG. It's time for Darryl and me to tell you about identity. Welcome, all of our Brain on Goggies. I always mess it up. Our boggies. You're not goggies. You are boggies, and we're grateful that you're with us for the 6th episode.
Oh, yeah.
Of YBOG. Happy New Year, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
From our families to yours.
People get really mad when you say happy holidays and not Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. But there's a song about it. It's been around for so long. Were people mad at the song?
Huh?
Were people mad at the song when the song came out?
At Happy Holidays?
Happy Holidays.
Because it took the Christ out of Christmas.
The song did?
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't even know
Xmas.
the whole song.
The Christian community was very mad about Xmas.
Xmas, but X stands for Christ. Roman. In
Wait,
Greek.
what?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Like Cairo, you know?
What do you mean, Cairo? Now you have to explain that. X stands for Christ?
Christ. Cristo.
Cristo?
You know,
the X in Xmas stands for Cristo?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. But it can.
Daryl's just feeding people.
But it can.
It can.
Xmas.
If you want it to, everybody.
Yeah,
if you
Greek letters.
Greek letters?
Yeah. The K.
The X.
Cristo.
We'll have to... Can we look that up?
You remember learning about Constantine?
Yeah.
You saw the Cairo in the sky. There's an X and an R. For Christ.
You got to explain that. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's how he became a Christian, basically.
Constantine?
Kind of. I don't know if you'd say he became a Christian, but he allowed Christianity to be a thing in the Roman Empire because he saw that symbol. And when he saw that, it was like he felt that was God appearing to him saying, you're going to win this war. He was battling. There was a battle. I think it was I don't remember. I don't want to say something that's wrong.
Right.
But there was a battle. He had this vision in the sky where he saw Cairo. And he was like, whoa, I think it was written on a shield.
Mm-hmm. Basically, if you don't know who Constantine is, he's the guy that made Christianity legal and actually like the primary religion in Rome.
It became the primary religion in Rome. Yeah, but it was illegal before. This was 300, around 300 AD. I don't remember the exact year.
Right.
And yeah, Christianity was illegal. And then it became legal after this kind of event happened where he saw this vision in the sky, and then he took that as a sign that God was with him and he was going to win this war. Then he won the war. Yeah. And he's like, Christians are thumbs up.
Which actually isn't the best thing.
No.
Because unfortunately, when Christianity becomes illegal, you get a bunch of half-hearted Christians. Or when Christianity becomes legal.
When it became legal. Right. Because when it was illegal, everybody was like, you're either in or you're out.
Yeah, because literally you would die if you were a Christian. You would get fed to lions and ripped apart.
No, I don't think all of them did. Sometimes.
Well, I mean, like some of them would,
Yeah, they were pretty tormented.
Yeah, people were boiled alive and just crazy
Burned alive
stuff.
on a stake.
Crucified, just like Jesus. Peter was crucified upside down. That's crazy. And then they made it the religion of Rome, and so everybody started going to church. But then because everybody started going to church and because it was legal, people it didn't really matter if you're a Christian because everybody was a Christian, you know?
It wasn't as big of a deal.
It wasn't as big of a deal.
No.
Yeah. Because it's
suddenly the hipsters were no longer hipsters.
Exactly.
And what do the hipsters do at that point?
When everyone becomes a hipster, no one is considered a hipster.
I wonder how irritated hipsters get when people start acting like them.
You know they get super irritated.
They're like, why are you guys at my coffee shop?
You see, the goal, it's totally against capitalism. The goal of a hipster coffee shop is for no one to come.
Right. It's like a thing that nobody else does.
It's so new wave, so new age that no one even, they don't even put themselves on Google. They don't market themselves. They don't want people to come because people actually buying your coffee would make it less hip.
You know, the Enneagram, everybody knows about the Enneagram now.
Mm-hmm.
But back in 2016,
it came out way back then.
It came out way before then. It's been around for ages. Nobody really knows. There's
centuries.
Yeah, no, really.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there's the lore of it is a early church fathers. It was a way that they would understand people and humanity and how we reflected God. These 9 different facets of who God is, and that each person is broken in a certain way that takes that image of God and kind of distorts it. Which is why when you look into Enneagram, most of the stuff you're going to read about a number is all these negative things because it's pointing out the way that the person's broken, and it talks about how to heal, the direction you need to move to heal,
right,
to become more whole. And the idea is that God is in this whole, is in all of them. God is all of them together, right? And we all are reflecting God in a certain way, but we're kind of broken in a certain way. So the 9 different ways the soul is fractured.
They took the Trinity, multiplied it by 3, got 9.
Exactly, and every number has 3 different kinds too, because you have your wings, but then you also have your instinctual type.
What?
Which is like so your subtype.
You're actually blowing my mind right now.
And there's 3 subtypes, so there's really like you have the 9, but then every number you have a wing, which makes it different, and then for every number that has a wing, you also have 3 different variants of that number. So there's like, I don't know, whatever that number that is.
Holy moly. You're actually
so it's
blowing my
9
mind.
times 3 times 3.
You're saying early church fathers used the Enneagram?
That's what I've heard from some Franciscan monks that I've heard talking about it.
For real?
Yeah, it's been around for a long time. But nobody really talked about it until the past couple of years.
Right.
However, in 2016, I heard about it from a hipster.
Yeah.
And they were a hipster.
Really?
And then, I heard about it in 2016, and then it wasn't until like a couple of years later that suddenly everybody was talking about it.
Were they wearing Doc Martens and
no glasses,
suspenders?
Big red beard though.
Oh, heck yeah.
I think hair that was kind of back. I don't remember exactly.
Right.
Probably I don't know about Doc Martens.
Were you friends with this guy, or you just came up?
He's my friend's brother.
Hipsters I actually take that back. They do like telling you about how hip they are. They like telling you about all the stuff that they know that you don't.
Yeah.
They have the secret knowledge.
I think he is like an original hipster.
An OG hip?
Yeah, he's an OG hipster.
What makes an OG hipster?
My friend's brother. I don't know. It's not like a hipster because it's cool.
Oh, shoot.
You know what I mean? People like now being a hipster is kind of like a thing. But it wasn't really a thing. He was like, hipsters were just very different.
Right.
Now
hipster wasn't about
like a style.
Hipster wasn't about having a hydro flask.
No, that's not hipster.
This episode is sponsored by Hydro Flask. I'm kidding. It's not.
It's not.
Yeah, it's not at all.
It is not.
Yeah.
We are making no money.
No money at all. That's actually crazy. That actually blew my mind right now.
Yeah, Cairo. Christmas.
So anyway, all coming from Christmas. We hope that you had a good Xmas, a Cairo Christmas.
A Christmas with Christ.
We hope that you're like Constantine and that you make Christianity legal.
In everything that you do.
In everything that you do. But also make sure that people are still going after him for real,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because otherwise, lions are a deterrent for many. Yeah, from becoming a Christian.
Or
I don't
you can
want
say it's a filter.
Lion filter?
No, lions are a filter. They filter out the people who really want to do it.
I know. That is crazy. There is something to say about, and this is just like I guess a more plain way of saying something spiritual or whatever, but that's cool, is that hard things make good people,
Hard thing make good people. Yeah, totally. I get that.
Hard thing make good people. I don't think I said it right.
You're fine. No, totally.
Hard thing make good. What is it? Do hard things. I think that's just the phrase. Do hard things. Because when you do hard things, it makes you tough. Being a Christian was hard. I mean, it still is it's tough, but we have so much religious freedom that it makes it a lot easier. We have people close their eyes and everyone bow their heads, so no one's even embarrassed to become a Christian.
Like when you make the decision to follow Jesus.
When you make a decision to follow Jesus, we make sure nobody knows about it so that your feelings.
man.
so that you're safe, so that you're comfortable. But when in the early days of becoming a Christian, it was like, you become a Christian. If someone finds out, they can tell somebody you could be killed.
Yeah.
You could die. And that makes crazy people that are absolutely, you got to be passionate about Jesus and got to know Jesus and actually you got to believe and live what you're saying if you're being willing to die for it, you know?
Yeah. It's like something you have to be ready to dive into.
Right. It's like, I could be a Christian if someone's maybe might peek their eyes and see me raising up my hand in church. You know, that's not that hard to do. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, welcome. We always do this. We always talk forever before we actually get into the topic. But speaking about the Enneagram, that talks about personality. It talks about a little bit about who you are and stuff like that. I guess we could transition into that, but we want to talk about it's a sloppy transition, but it's a transition nonetheless. Okay.
And that's what's important.
That is all that is important. We want to talk about being before doing, being preceding doing,
being preceding doing. Yeah.
Yeah. We want to talk about actually living from a place of a place of identity, of knowing who you are, because a lot of times we get caught up doing things in order to become something, or in order to prove to ourselves that we are a certain way, or we are a way that we want to be, you know. And we do things that we maybe should do because they should matter to us, because they should show other people who we are, even if we're not that person, right? And so we end up doing a lot of useless things. I wouldn't say useless. I mean, they have some merit, but they don't actually change who we are, right? A lot of things that we do don't actually change the feelings that we have about ourselves, the perceptions that we have about ourselves. They don't change our actual identity. And so we find ourselves in these rat races, these treadmills, just kind of, like the hamster in the tube, where you're just stuck, you're trapped, and you're running all around, and you think you're getting somewhere, but really you're not getting anywhere at all, because you're doing all these things to become something,
Right. We're trying to modify our behavior to change who we are as a being. It's like, I want to do this thing because I don't want to feel this way anymore, which I think there is some merit to that, where we can make some decisions and change our actions. But I think that the lasting change and the deeper change comes from more of an inner shift, rather than trying to fix the symptoms of something. Right. I think that God calls us to be someone before he calls us to do something. It's not, I don't think God has you're going to be this pastor before you're this kind of a person. But I think he just wants us to be a certain person. He wants us to work on our being, like who we are on the inside, our character, what are the things inside of us that we desire? What are the things that we value? And I think as we focus on those things, the things that are inward, the values, the things that are important, naturally we will behave a certain way as we start putting value on certain things. We will start acting out of those values, right? Tony Robbins says that our decisions that we make come from our beliefs and from our values, things that we believe and the things that are important to us. That's what determines the decisions that we make, right? That's what determines whether or not we're going to go to the gym, or whether or not we're going to stop doing that habit, or whether or not we're going to be home with our family at a certain time to spend time with the kids. Or it's about what we believe about ourselves and about the people around us and the things that are important to us, our values.
Right. I think a lot of the time we try and live as outside in people rather than inside out people.
Outside in.
Outside in people, where it's like change what I'm doing, or change what I'm acting, or change what I'm saying, but on the inside I'm still kind of, that was the main problem that Jesus had with the religious people at the time, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the religious leaders, and all of the things, where he's like, you guys present this whole image of you tithe the smallest amount from your spice gardens, he's like, but you forget to love people, you're missing the whole point. You do all of these things to show people that you are a certain way, or to make people think that you are a certain way. You love praying in public. You love people seeing you as as the hot shot, the hot shot, the ones with the knowledge, the ones who know the the Christian hipsters, whatever it is. You love people seeing you that way, but on the inside, he's like, you're whitewashed tombs. You look pretty on the outside, but on the inside, you're dead. You're dead on the inside. And what Jesus is saying in that is, it's not about all of this outward stuff, about what you do, about what you're showing people that you're capable of or whatever. It's about actually being transformed on the inside, that he actually cares about who you are before he cares about what you do. And we see this even with the baptism of Jesus, and this is before Jesus even starts his ministry, before he even does anything. He doesn't do a single miracle. Doesn't he doesn't do anything yet. Before he died on the cross, and the Father speaks down, and he's like, "This is my Son, in whom I'm well pleased." And he gives Jesus identity before he ever does anything. Right?
Yeah, totally.
So Jesus has a consecration moment where he's like, his Father is like, this is who you are. And then Jesus lives out of that place, right?
Yeah.
So everything he does outside of that moment comes from a place of being a son, of being loved, of being his Father's kid. And then he goes out and does all the cool miracles. Then he goes and hangs out with the prostitutes and, steps in front of, adulterous women who are about to get stoned, and then he meets with people in the night, and then he goes and prays, and then he's in the garden, and then he raises Lazarus, and then he dies on the cross, and then he resurrects. That stuff is all after the fact of knowing who he is.
Yeah, it's not the opposite would be him going out to do things so that he can become a son of God, right?
Right.
He's not going out trying to heal people and speak into these situations that are wrong to correct people that are believing or seeing things. He's not going out trying to teach or to do miracles in order to earn the title of the Son of God or to earn God's good pleasure, right? He's not trying to get to a place where suddenly, okay, God can say of me, he is pleased. Right? He's not coming for that. He's coming from that. That's where he's coming from. And that, I think that there's something to be noted that 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by mid-February.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, which is a lot by mid-February, right? I don't know what the number is past that, but I imagine that even more people stop their New Year's resolution. But I think that the change, firstly, I think that says something about our desire to be different, right? It's probably so high because there's so many people making resolutions to be different, right? To do something different, to live differently in their life. And being able to see like, hey, I can probably do this, or I see something that I don't have that I want, right? Or I see someone that I want to be that I'm not currently right now. I think that there's a lot of people doing that. That's why the number's so high. And it says something about our desire to change or to grow or to realize that I might be capable of more. But it also says something about the way that we go about changing.
Right.
The way that we go about trying to make our life different. And I think the dealing with the symptoms of a situation or of a behavior rather than going to the core of where this is coming from is one of the reasons why those changes that we try to make in our life may not last as long. Is because we're looking at the thing we're doing and we're trying to not do the thing rather than looking deeper at why am I doing this thing or why do I want to do this other thing and figuring out and getting clarity on what is that inside of me that I want to change. Right? Is it insecurity? Is it loneliness? Is it pride? Is those different things inside of us that are causing these symptoms of behavior? We're trying to medicate the symptoms and change our behavior without dealing with the inner turmoil that we have.
And I think that's a huge thing for resolutions, is like we make all these resolutions because we should, and it's the right time. It's like, I'm going to change my life. And it's awesome that we do have that. I think that is the God heart within every human to be like, I want to grow, or I want to be different, or I want to do things different, or I want to get better, and even the fact that we have that desire is awesome. That's like, yes, if you didn't have that desire, that would suck. You know what I mean? It's like, if you didn't even have a desire to change, you wouldn't have a desire to change, But the fact that we have a desire to change is awesome. But the motive behind why we're actually trying to change is huge. And I know that when I've tried to stop those things and just stop the symptoms, it never works out for me. I end up more anxious or more, insecure about something, or just more just like, why can't I quit this? Or why can't I stop this? Or why is this still going on in my life? Rather than getting to the root of okay, what's actually inside me? Why am I doing these things, and who do I actually want to be?
Yeah, I think that values is an important thing, knowing what's important to us. And I think that helps those kind of changes is attaching an action with a value, right? So if I'm doing these things or I want to do these things, but it's not attached to anything that's important to me, then it's going to be a lot harder for me to do it or to stop doing it.
Right.
But if I can take that idea of, I don't want to smoke anymore. Well, I don't want to smoke anymore because I don't want to be addicted to anything. I want to feel like I'm in full control of how I spend my time and my energy. I don't want to be at the whim of something telling me what to do and then me going to it. You know, I want to make decisions intentionally.
Right.
And I can attach that I want that desire to stop smoking to that value of being intentional with everything that I do.
Right.
And so if I find myself smoking, I can ask myself, am I being intentional with what I want to do?
Right.
Is this an intentional decision, or am I just going to do it because it's calling to me?
Right.
Am I submitting to the will of having to smoke?
Yeah.
And I think that just that awareness helps us make the decisions. It puts the power back into our hands to actually choose. Right. Tony Robbins says that every breakthrough begins with a change of belief. Right. So if I believe I'm addicted to cigarettes, I'm probably not going to stop smoking.
Right.
But if I believe that I can stop smoking, and I actually believe that I can stop smoking, I probably will have a much higher chance of stopping smoking. Yeah. Because if I believe I'm going to do it, then I'm probably going to live into my belief, because that's what we always do. We always live according to what we believe. Right. We don't sit down in chairs. We don't believe we're going to hold us up. We sit down because we believe it's going to hold us up. Right. And we believe, and therefore we are doing things, and we act in accordance with our beliefs. Right. Right. So if I believe that I can stop this, it gives me a bit more power to actually stop doing this behavior. But I think something that you said is really important too, is recognizing the good thing that comes from it. Right. So if I'm anxious and I smoke and it helps me relax, that's a good thing. Right. Relaxing, right? When I'm anxious, finding peace, that's good. Right. But smoking maybe isn't the healthiest thing.
The healthiest way to get there.
Right. It might be and maybe it's not the healthiest way to get to peace. Right. What can I do that'll help me get to peace when I'm in anxiety? Right. And then replacing it with that behavior. Right. It's like having that shift of not looking for the symptom and trying to fix the symptom, but what is it that the symptom is trying to fix? Right. And how can I get another? How can I make that happen another way?
Or what is the doing trying to fix?
What is the doing?
Whatever it is.
Right.
It could be smoking, or you could be going to the gym for the wrong reason.
Totally.
You could be going to the gym because you're insecure about your body, and I've seen this happen a lot. Is that certain people they're really insecure about their body, and they're like, I need to get back in the gym, and so they get back in the gym, and then they might even be consistent with it. They start looking better and stuff, and guess what? They're still insecure.
Right. And you still have the insecurity.
Yeah, they still have the same view because they used working out to free them from the insecurity they had about themselves. Right. So they're using something else to change something on the inside, an outside in change, rather than actually seeing themselves as someone valuable, seeing themselves as someone who is made for health, and then stepping into working out because they actually believe, and I'm not saying that, being outside of, the gym is not valuable or something, but they're seeing themselves as like, oh, I'm temple. I want to take care of my body.
Right.
Like,
I'm valuable.
And then actually that healthy place of wanting to go to the gym where it's like, oh no, I want to be healthy for my family. I want to be healthy for my kids. Like I want to be healthy for me. I want to have a good, body image, like, all that stuff. Then, you go and that slight shift in entering into working out because of a healthy being, right, gives you way greater of a chance of you actually following through with that, and then you actually liking the process rather than just getting checking off a box to go to the gym, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like constantly, if you're like starting from an insecure space, you're constantly weighing yourself against other people, what they're doing, what they look like, and you're constantly looking at yourself like, oh, I have this, these
Right.
roles, or I got this, and now you're so focused on what's wrong with you, and then you develop a mindset of what's wrong with you, so that even when you do get healthier, you still have that
insecure.
same, you're still insecure. You still have that same mindset.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And you don't notice the progress as much because you're focused on the thing that you're insecure about.
Right.
And it doesn't lead to freedom.
Mm-mm.
And we can, I think, operate in freedom when we have that shift beforehand. I'm going to do this because I want to be healthy, or because I value my body. Right. I value my body. I think I'm worth taking care of. And if I believe that I'm worth taking care of, then I'm probably going to take care of myself.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's that internal shift, and that internal shift of belief and of who I am.
Right.
I am valuable. I
Right.
should take care of myself.
Right.
And that will lead me to working out and not trying to compare myself to other people, or comparing, like I've heard this phrase that comparison shrinks people, right? It's either going to shrink you, or it's going to shrink the person you're comparing yourself against.
Jeez.
Either like I'm either small, or else you're small, right? That's what we do when we compare ourselves to others. And whenever we can operate from that place of being confident in who we are and knowing that we are valuable,
Mm-hmm.
I think when we decide to make that shift and that change, it's a lifestyle change, not just a New Year's resolution as far as like this year I'm going to work out.
Right.
It's like, no, I'm going to decide to change the way I'm living my life.
Right.
And it doesn't need to happen at New Year's, No, New Year's resolutions don't need to wait for New Year's.
None of my New Year's resolutions have happened at New Year's. Yeah. It's always been, some random time.
It's like I'm realizing, hey, I should change. I want to change the way that I'm living because of something that's important to me.
Right.
And I think that's a big deal. Is connecting it to a value.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I want to do this differently?
Right. It gives it a strength to it.
Yeah.
It's like I value health, or I value, that could attach to a lot of different things, or I value being peaceful in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
or I value being, free from addiction, or whatever it is. Like I value these things. Not I'm trying to just be a better person, or I'm trying to get rid of these things, but it's like, what do I actually value? And then you attach that to that doing, coming out of that place. I want to be a person that values this, but you do have to come even a deeper level of what do I value? And then there's certain things that I want to value that I don't value right now, so
Mm-hmm.
like there might be, coming back to that same example of smoking, where you might not even have that value. So then how do you change your actual values?
Yeah.
Sitting with those things. Cause that's an even deeper level to it of that plays into it.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think part of it could have to do with how we see ourselves. I was talking with a friend a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me when he was growing up and going to school, he was hearing from his stepdad a lot that he's no good. He can't do anything good. He's a failure. Like, oh, you're a failure. You can't do anything good. You're a bad kid.
Right.
You're never going to do well in studies. Like you fail all your classes. And so he would go to class thinking, oh, I'm a failure. I can't do anything good anyways. And so he wouldn't try.
Right.
So he's like, so why should I try to do anything? Because it doesn't matter, because I'm a bad kid. I'm a bad kid. I'm a bad student. I'm going to fail. And it wasn't so studying wasn't important to him. Right. But it wasn't until he took an inward look at himself and thought, you know what? I think I could do this. I'm going to try. And when he actually believed that he could do it, he applied himself and saw that he could. And then so it caused an inward change for him. So he started trying, he started applying himself, he started studying, and he realized that it was important for him to be able to prove to himself, no, I can do this. And this shift of belief in who he is and who he was, that also shifted his values and what was important to him.
Totally.
And I think that could be the case for somebody who maybe they're not valuing, if someone's addicted to smoking, for this example, maybe it's not important for them to stop smoking. Maybe they don't see the reason why they need to stop smoking. And that's okay if that's where they're at. You know, it doesn't
Totally.
need to be a certain way. But if they're in a place where they do want to stop smoking, what's the reason, right? If they're thinking it's unhealthy, right? If somebody's wanting to stop smoking, there's probably a reason behind it.
Right.
And if they're putting enough thought into stopping, then there's something valuable that they're trying to protect, right? There's something that's valuable to them that they're wanting to uphold.
Right.
And whether that's because my wife or my husband or my friends or my siblings, you know, I don't want to be a bad example. What's the value? Well, maybe it's because they love their family. They want their family to make healthy choices, you know? And so it really is important for them to make healthy choices, even if they're not making healthy choices themselves, they can still value health.
Right.
And I think identifying those is what helps. You're like, you know what? This is important to me.
Right. Because we can get so blind to why we even actually want to quit something like that, you know, or why we even want to change. And then it just becomes surface level of this just needs to change in my life. And that's why it doesn't have any roots, you know? It doesn't have any actually roots, because that's really good. It's like you have to keep going to those deeper levels of those internal things. It's like, well, I want to be a good example for my family. It's like, okay, well, why? It's like, because I love my family. It's like, well, okay, you love your family, you want to be a good example. Like, what is it about, you know, smoking that would change that? It's like, well, I want my kids to be healthy, and I want them to see their father, you know, being healthy, and I want us all to grow up in a home where we're seeking health together, you know. And now you're going deeper and deeper into those things, you know. That
could be something that they value that they've just neglected.
Right, exactly. That they didn't even know that they valued, and so they've just been living up in, you know, up here on the surface level, you know.
Yeah, I think sometimes we can also live out of accordance with our values, and that causes some kind of inner turmoil. And maybe we don't know what that is, and we have to spend time identifying that. Right? Like my wife Brittany, she really values honor. That's the concept of honoring people. But she didn't know that specifically for a while. Right? She would have these experiences and she would think, why, like, oh, I'm so mad at that. I'm so mad that this person did that. Or I'm so upset with myself for not doing this. And she didn't know specifically that it was because honor, but she spent some time reflecting and realized honor is really important to me. Right. And I want to make honoring decisions. Right. And I want to see people honor each other as well. Right. So maybe it's not clear in the beginning, but there's probably some kind of inner turmoil and something that's inside of us that's like, this doesn't sit right. Right. And I think in those moments we have to ask those questions. Right. To find out, what value is this violating? Right. Right. Is this violating a value of mine? And what can I do to uphold that value? Totally.
And that's the same thing with me and authenticity.
Right.
It's my absolute highest value that I have is like being authentic. And it's a problem when I meet people that I feel like are being inauthentic or being disingenuine. Pretty quickly I will stop respecting you. I'll stop listening to you. Like, I have to actually, like, you know, hey, it's okay for people to be where they're at. You know, it's like totally fine. But if I see you trying to like prove yourself or trying to like, you know, filter yourself into a conversation or something like that, or you're just talking about yourself way too much, or you're just being like kind of not really, I don't know, you're just not being yourself like around people. It's like I have this tendency to start looking at you differently. And I didn't know why I was doing that either until I realized, like, oh my gosh, like, I just value authenticity so much. You know, like I value people being themselves. I value them coming into a room and not feeling like they have to, you know, go and prove themselves to everybody or start telling these, you know, crazy stories about themselves that no one really cares about, you know, that they could just be themselves and chill, dude. You know, like we're all good here. And that's because I have this high value for authenticity. And that's the same inside of me for myself. You know, it's like I want to be authentic in front of people. I never want, you know, to show an inauthentic side of myself or to push myself to be like this, you know, a certain way that I'm not, you know. That's really important to me. And so whenever I'm living outside of that, I can definitely tell. Like as soon as I do something that's like I don't know, I say something about myself to somebody that maybe they didn't even need to know, like I'll be thinking to myself, like, was that disingenuous? You know, like I don't want to live from that place, you know, like did I just try and prove myself to that person? And I'm like, I'm really talking a lot about myself. Like I'm always thinking about, you know, those types of things. I'm gonna lay low on talking about myself right now. And those values actually lead me to change, you know what I mean? Or lead me to be aware of those things that I'm doing. So now it's no longer like I don't know, I don't want to try and prove myself. It's like, no, my value is to be authentic. It's not about stopping proving myself in front of people or whatever.
Right.
It's like, no, I just want to live authentically. And now I'm moving forward in that. And then that helps me to kind of cipher through, what I should and should not be doing,
Right. Yeah. Knowing the value helps identify the decisions that you want to make.
Right.
And like, what kind of decisions do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And that affects your doing.
Right. Totally.
But it's coming from a place of who you are, right?
Right.
What feels intrinsic to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like what's intrinsically valuable to you.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that are most important? And that out of that place, we do things.
Right.
It comes down to those are the values, right? The way that we believe about ourselves, about others, and the things that are important to us.
Mm-hmm.
Like those affect the decisions that we're going to be making.
Right. Yeah. I think it would be cool to talk about. We talked about it a little bit before we started recording, but about how a lot of these ways that we try and do things to become something, they end up becoming like, I called it double agents. Double agent thoughts or double agent doings, where they actually do the opposite of what we want them to do.
Yeah. One. I mean, we thought of a couple of different examples, but one thing that I grew up with a lot of sisters, and they sometimes would makeup, sometimes they wouldn't wear makeup. But something I discovered along my path of life is that using makeup to cover up acne will actually cause more acne.
Yeah.
At the end of the right, but makeup gets used to try to cover up the acne because we don't want the acne there or showing. Mm-hmm. But then it actually ends up causing more acne at the end of the day. Right. So what we're doing to try to stop what we don't want is actually causing it to happen more.
Right.
It's a double agent.
Yeah. And that's a lot of what we try to do. It's the same thing with the gym. The very thing, if you're insecure about your body and then you go to the gym, the very thing that you're using to take away the insecurity that you have becomes the very place of insecurity. Right. So you're using the gym to become secure, but at the gym you're looking at other people and noticing how they might look differently than you or whatever. And then even when you get healthier, you're still insecure because you didn't actually change the mindset. It doesn't actually help you. Or a big one that I struggle with is condemnation or shame, guilt. Is that I think a lot of the time that if I beat myself up enough, it will make me into the person I want to be. So if what are those people called? The ascetics or whatever?
Ascetics.
Yeah. That beat themselves over the back. So that a lot of times in my own mind, I can do that to myself, right? I'll mess up or I'll hurt somebody or I'll say something I shouldn't have said or I'll do something I shouldn't have done. And I'll just be like, what did I just do? Like, why did I just do it? And I'll just mull on it, right? Mull over on it? I don't know.
Mull over on it.
Mull it.
Mull it down. Mull it over.
I will give it a mullet.
Mull it over. I will give it a mullet. Business in the front, party in the back.
Business in the front, party in the back. Amen. And I'll because condemnation, it has this lure to it, where it's like, because if I condemn myself or I'm guilty enough, to me it becomes a tool to not do those things again and to become who I want to be, which is a person who didn't just do that thing or who didn't just say that thing, because I want to live into my values of being, living in holiness or, living in love towards people. And when I live outside that place, it makes me feel bad. Like I'm like, man, I don't want to be that. I want to live out of love. Right. So it has this strange tactic, guilt, shame, and condemnation, where it tells you that, well, if you're just hard on yourself enough, if you just beat yourself up enough, if you just think about it enough and are anxious about it enough, you'll get so anxious and so worried and so afraid that you'll change.
That you'll stop being anxious and afraid.
Right. But all of that stuff, what condemnation does is I'll use condemnation to stop the feelings of feeling anxious about what I did. Yeah. And then the condemnation will make me feel more anxious, and it will actually lead me to do what caused me to feel anxious in the first place. Yeah. So say it's some addiction or some sin or whatever. I do it to comfort myself. Then I use condemnation, or I get condemned about it. That makes me feel bad, and then that actually pushes me to go do that thing again. It's a double agent. Yeah, it totally is. It's something that's, I think, is working for me, but it's actually working against me, instead of actually knowing, hey, I'm good, like I'm solid, like Jesus, forgive me, your forgiveness is over me, your blood is over me, I'm not going to feel bad about this in order to feel better. It's like
I need to feel bad in order to stop doing this,
right?
But the feeling bad drives us to do it again sometimes,
right?
I think that happens often. That's like the shame cycle.
Yeah.
That happens to me with like in moments of insecurity or doubting, like self-doubt. When I start doubting myself and thinking, well, maybe do I know how to do this thing or do I not know how to do it? This happened a lot when I was dancing. So if I was like dancing or doing some kind of performance.
Darryl was a dancer.
I used to dance a lot.
Hey, there he is.
I used to dance a lot, mostly hip hop, sometimes some other styles too.
Ballroom, ballet.
A little bit of ballet, not very much. For like
you
a
did
couple
ballet?
months. I did for a couple months.
Oh,
I think I
yeah.
did it for a couple months before I went to Australia. But I did
Their
ballroom.
toes, man.
Yeah, guys don't really go on point like that. But there's little boxes that, but it does, even without the boxes, I think a lot of ballerinas can go up on their toes. It's not healthy. So that's why they have the boxes. It's like a cushion.
Gosh.
Anyways, when I would dance and like perform, when I would get in my head about something, like not be unsure, I would end up not doing anything, or I'd end up messing it up. Right. And it wasn't because I didn't know the dance, because I've done it 1,000 times.
Right.
But as soon as I start questioning myself, because I want to do it right. So I'm questioning myself because I want to do it right and end up not doing it right because I'm questioning myself.
Right.
It's like this nervousness that I'm going to mess up causes me to mess up because I'm nervous.
Right.
It's that same thing rather than trusting, oh no, I know how to do this.
Right.
I got this. I can do this.
Yeah.
And just trusting myself, right? And which leads me to doing it differently.
Totally. You're way more confident when you're not thinking. Yeah. When you're not like thinking about everything. That's the same thing when I was in when I was in theater in senior year, doing it, getting like we use worry so that we'll be on top of making sure we have all our lines down. And then worry makes you forget your lines. Yeah. It's it does the very opposite thing that you want it to do, right? Instead of actually knowing inside yourself, like, hey, I got this. Like I've studied all the lines. Those things are inside me. I'm ready to go, and I'm going to go out there. I'm not going to worry about it. And then usually when I'm in that state, it puts you into this flow state, right? Where you're not worried about, what am I going to say here? What is my line here? How am I going? I used to do this with sermons all the time too, where it was like, okay, what am I going to say? I want to make sure I say this perfectly. I want to, when I used to, when I would preach sermons, I would just get so in my head about how it comes off or how I put it. And now I just don't even think about them. I write my sermon. I know that actually, this is actually who I am, like I've been given a gift of communicating to people, and the gospel has made its way into my heart. It's a huge part of who I am, right? Jesus is like, he's who I am, like that's what I'm all about. So when I get up there, it's like, he's never not come through. I get up there, I speak, and it's like, and it's awesome. And I don't remember the last time I worried about going to give a sermon, which is awesome. That's super, like, it's super freeing, but that's coming out of a place of, this is actually who I am. Right? Like I'm a son of God. Like I've been walking with Jesus for a long time. Like I didn't just prepare this sermon. I've been sitting with him all, for the last month, and he's been giving me different words and, like all of those things. So he's totally prepared me for this, even if I'm not fully prepared, on like a actual sheet or notes level, Yeah. And so out of that place of being a son or being a communicator, being, like I can step into that place and I can do it.
And you'll communicate confidently.
Communicate confidently, right? Because I'm doing this place out of a genuine place of being, and that all translates back into all those things that we want to change in our lives too. It's like, who do you actually want to become? Stop doing all these things to change your inner perception of yourself, or to change those. Actually, I mean, the best way I would do it is to recommend is to sit with God, sit with God and do some thoughtful or contemplative prayer with God, and go through some of those things and kind of find out what your values are, find out what's actually inside of you, where you're actually at right now. Be honest. Don't just do things because you should do them. Don't have a resolution because you should have a resolution. And it's the time to have a resolution. If you're going to have a resolution, great, but do it out of a place of I actually I want something different on the inside to change, and then because of that, because I know I can be different on the inside, I'm going to step in and I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to, I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to, I don't know, love my kids better, spend more time with my family. It's like find those deeper values, those inside, and then live out of that place,
Yeah, the internal shifts, the things that we believe about ourselves first, not going to the gym because we are insecure. But if we are insecure, that's okay to acknowledge. I think it's actually very important to acknowledge. If you have an insecurity, to acknowledge it, because that is a symptom.
Yes.
Right? Of something. Right. That means there's something that we believe about ourselves that's probably not true.
Right.
And I say that because insecurity is not a default setting.
Right.
We are intrinsically created with value. Mm-hmm. Every single person is created with intrinsic value. Insecurity comes up when we're believing something about ourselves that's not true. Mm-hmm. And or trying to be something that isn't true to who we are. Oh, excuse me. So we're trying to be something that's not true to who we are.
Right.
And so we're trying to fit another mold, or we're like a fish trying to climb a tree and then judging ourselves for not being good at it.
Right.
Let's just get it some water. Let's put ourselves in some water and show us what we're made of.
Exactly.
And the insecurity that comes, I think, is a sign of something deeper. And so it's okay to acknowledge I'm insecure in this area. Mm-hmm. What is it that's causing me to be insecure?
Right.
What am I believing about myself? Mm-hmm. Right. What am I believing about myself that's causing me to feel this way? And then think of, okay, well, is it? Firstly, question that, because it's whatever that thing is, it's probably not true.
Right.
And so start with questioning it. Is that true? And think, what would be the opposite, or what is something that is more true than what I'm believing right now?
Right.
If I believe I'm not important, or I'm not valuable, or I'm not attractive, well, what's a belief that is true that I'm just not seeing?
Right.
That actually can replace that. Uh-huh. What are the things I'm believing about myself that are not true? And how can I find a more resourceful belief?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think digging deep is important.
Right.
And as we go into the next year, thinking about that and having that in mind of the changes that we want to make to our life, where is it coming from?
Right.
What kind of person are we wanting to be, firstly? Mm-hmm. And then I think as we work on being that kind of person, we'll end up doing the things that most line up with who we are.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I think denying the place where you're actually at is the worst thing that you could do in making and actually wanting to change.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, and I've done this so many times where it's just like, yeah, just do it. Just do it. That Shia LaBeouf video, Just do it. Which is awesome. I mean, there's a part to that where it is like, there's certain things that, hey, just do it. And that'll actually give you the confidence to keep doing it. Like just go to the gym once, go to the gym once, and then the next day go to the gym again. There are certain things that are just do it, but also be honest with where you're at. If you're struggling with insecurity about your body, you're struggling with addiction, that's okay. Like those are very real feelings that a lot of us feel.
Yeah.
Totally. So sit with those things, uncover the roots of those things, and then say, okay, what is actually the value for me going to the gym? Why am I actually trying to make this resolution to go to the gym? Or why am I actually trying to make this resolution to love my kids better? Am I actually, do I not spend enough time with them? Why don't I spend enough time with them? Like actually sit with those things and be real with yourself, be vulnerable before the Lord, before yourself, maybe before a close friend, and say, I really want to change some of these things, but I got to be honest with where I'm at. Because if you're just saying like, no, I'm buff already, I'm ready to go and I'm going to do this, I'm dedicated already. You're probably not there yet. And like while having a good mindset, a positive mindset, might work for a little bit, be honest, allow yourself to actually build a real positivity rather than some fake Band-Aid positivity where it's just like, I'm just convincing myself that I can do this. It's like, I really think I'm going to struggle doing this, Be honest with the struggle and don't pretend that you're there if you're not there. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
And then that actually gives you more of a barometer of where your heart's at, of where your internal state is at, and then you can actually make more. You can make better decisions out of that place because you know where you're really at. You're not just placing some spiritual jargon on top of it, or some self-help method on top of it, or some positivity message on top of an actual wound, or on top of an actual thing that you're going through or struggling with. You're actually getting real, allowing yourself to acknowledge that. And then that acknowledgement brings in the space to experience healing in that area, to uncover some things, to figure out what you really value, to be, to actually be where you're at. And then that being can actually inspire what you do from that, the decisions that you make out of that.
Yeah. Being fully present and growing. Growing in self-awareness of who are you, what's important to you? What are the things that are really bothering you?
Totally.
And I think also don't feel like you need to do it alone. I know that, a while ago, I was doing some research for a class that I was teaching on goal setting. I think this applies to this as well, just change in general. But there's a study that was done at a university, and there were 3 things that helped significantly and determined whether or not, and increase the chances of whether or not somebody was going to accomplish what they set out to do. If they just thought about it and had it in their head, like what they wanted to do or the kind of person they wanted to be, they had a 20% chance of actually doing that.
Wow.
Whenever they decided to, when they wrote it down on a piece of paper and put it somewhere where they could see it, their chances doubled of actually doing that thing. So writing it down, having it somewhere where they want to be, or somewhere that they're going to see it regularly. The other thing was telling somebody about it, telling someone else, hey, these are the things I'm going to do. Hey, this is the kind of person I want to be.
Right.
Finding someone safe that you can trust and telling them that these are the kind of decisions I want to be making now. And then lastly, setting up an accountability process. So they had a regular meeting with someone where they would turn in their updates or say where they were at with their progress or how they were doing. And those things together increase their chances of succeeding up to like above 80% of actually doing it.
Jeez.
Because they didn't just think about it, but they wrote it down somewhere that they could see it regularly. They told someone that they trusted that they were going to do those things, and they set up a process where they checked in regularly with, this is the thing I want to do, and this is what I'm going to be doing. And so they would check in progress. And so I encourage you guys to do that too. That's something I'm going to be doing in the next couple of weeks with my wife. We talked about getting our values and printing them out on a piece of paper and some statements with why those are important to us and the kind of person that we want to be because those are important to us. And then printing them out and putting them in our bedroom wall. So it's somewhere we can see it. Right. And it's something that we talk about with each other, the kind of person that we want to be, the decisions we want to make, the changes that we want to make to who we are, because it's important to us, right? Not just because I want to do something different, but because I want my decisions to line up with who I feel I am at my most core being, the things that are important to me. I want to make decisions that come from that place. And so write them down, put them somewhere that you can see regularly. Tell somebody that's close to you, that you can trust, that you care about, that cares about you. And then have some kind of discussion about it, which telling them what you want to do and why you want to do it. Keep track of the times that you do make those decisions that line up with the kind of person you want to be, and let somebody know. Let them celebrate with you if you're trying to change. Let them celebrate with you the changes that you are making. Because I think those things, the changes, we don't have to make those alone. We don't have to do that internally by ourselves. No. We can do that together.
Right. Yeah, that changes everything. Actually having somebody, we talk a lot about having like an accountability partner, I don't really like that phrase too much because most of the time it's just like, weird. Just tell me your deepest, darkest sin.
Tell me all the mistakes you made last week.
And then yeah, exactly. But somebody to actually just hold you to your values, and call you higher and say, hey, how's that, book going that you wanted to write, or how's that new business going that you said that you wanted to start, or that, or how are you spending time with your family, and how is that affecting your heart recently, and what have you been doing, and that kind of stuff. Sometimes it can be a knife straight in the heart. It's like, oh, I did say that, crap, that's not good, but to actually have somebody that is willing to love you enough to speak into those things for you. You know, because we all have, we talked about it a little bit today, blind spots. You know, we all have blind spots. We all have things that we make decisions to do, and then we go back on those decisions, and you know, we have ideas for ourselves or want to be a certain kind of person, and then live outside of those values, or there's dissonance or distance between where we're at and where we want to be and stuff. And to have somebody in your life that is actually going to call you higher, call you into those things, not in a condemnation way, not in a guilt way, in a shaming way of why aren't you there yet? You said you were going to do this. I can't believe that. Are you even a person of your word? You know, get rid of those friends, you know, or at least, you know, love on them from a distance, you know, but allowing somebody to hold you in your own values and in your own being. And then if you are getting caught up in doing, to call you back to who you are. You know, if you are just getting caught up in, I'm just doing all this stuff and I'm getting through this and I got this and this and this going on, to call you back to say, hey, but how is your actual, you know, what have you been doing? What internal work have you been doing? You're doing a lot on the outside. It looks good, but how are you actually going, you know, how are you actually doing on the inside? And that changes things as well. So be precedes doing.
Being precedes doing.
That's awesome.
All right.
I think that's it.
That's it.
That's all we got.
That's what we got.
Well, beautiful boggies. It's been a wonderful episode.
Yeah.
It's so good. I'm so excited for this new year of Your Brain on God.
Me too.
It's going to be incredible. Make sure that you follow us on Your Brain on God on Instagram. Follow our YouTube. It's Your Brain on God. Everything's Your Brain on God.
Your Brain on God.
Yeah. We're on Spotify, iTunes. Subscribe, like, send us messages, send us food, gifts.
You can leave us a little review.
Leave us a review. Yeah, do it. You're awesome.
Self-awareness is good.
Yeah, self-awareness is good. Yeah. Say that we suck if we do, you know?
Yeah. And if you think we're great, let us know.
Let us know.
Either way.
Either way is fine. Anyway, we love you guys. Have the most amazing week, and we'll catch you later on Your Brain on God.